Hey everybody. So today I'm going to show you how to use your own Python library within Dynamo. So it's really easy to do. Right now I've got this Python node here and I've got that open, and you can see I've imported sys and then the paths to my Python modules and libraries. So the reason why I want to show this today and why I think it's something you should think about setting up is that it's very useful. Now, if you have your paths set up, and if you saw my previous video where it showed you how to set up the Python template file so that you, I'll just show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if I type in Python script, open it, it pops up this instead of the default. So if you edit the XML settings file to point to yours, then our shared one, then that one can already have this stuff put in there. Now with that said, you don't need to watch the previous video. You could just copy, you could do import sys and then sys.path.append, whatever it is, and you can do that every time you open up a Python script and you plan on using this. Now, the powerful part of this is that that library would live on a server that everybody had access to. So when you were done with this script, you go save, or the Python node, you save it. It's a part of a bigger workflow, and then you save the script, put it in some library folder, or maybe you send it to somebody. Well, if they work at your company, they have access to that same shared location. They now have the ability to run the script without any issues. So easy to do, but I think very powerful because it opens up so many other things you can do with Python, especially now that we have Python 3 available to us. So in Dynamo. Okay, so pretty easy to do. I'm going to use Jupyter Notebook, so I'm going to type in Anaconda. That's going to pop up. I'm using the base environment, and that's because I do not know how to get Jupyter Notebook to launch from my own virtual environment. So you can see in this Python script that I've got an environment set up called Dynamo 2022. Anyways, we're going to ignore that and just launch Jupyter Notebook from the base folder. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we want to install certain files so that we can use those in our library. So if you're not familiar with Jupyter Notebook, before I launch it, there's Anaconda distribution. Now you can download this and it'll set you all up with Python, Jupyter Notebook, and some other stuff. I find it all useful. You may not. I think you can download Jupyter Notebook by itself, but it just means that that setup's going to be a little bit different than what I'm showing you here today. So Jupyter Notebook, what we're going to do is go Jupyter. And just like I'm showing you, after you get it installed, that's how you open it. And then it looks like this. I'm going to come over here and just do a quick new Python 3. And then here is actually a printout of the example Python stuff that we're going to do in Dynamo today. And so we're going to use Fuzzy Wuzzy. And we're going to use the Python Livenstein wheels is the thing we have to install, but that's the, like, I guess algorithm or whatever that we're using to determine the distance between words. So we've got a list of words here, each list. So we've got office admin, toiletman, women, janitor, Jan, and so on. What we're going to do is loop through that. Right, we're going to pass in this electrical word. Now in a real workflow, you would want to pass in all the different room names that you have coming from your architectural model, and then use that instead, and then group those. In this case, I'm just returning the list. This is just an example, but this is pulled from an actual script where it's looking at room names and trying to determine what space function should be applied to the spaces in the MEP model based off of the room names. So architecture, architecture clients always kind of have their own standards and their own processes, so it's kind of hard to automate that, and so that's where like a tool like Fuzzy Wuzzy is helpful, or a package like that, or a library. But there's also a thing called Fuzzy Logic, which I think is a package you can download for Dynamo as well. I just find this better. So anyways, this is just an example. It plays a part of a bigger script, so you could learn from this and take it and apply it in your own way. But this is just an example. So over here, we're essentially just going to take this, and the only thing I care about is the pip installs. So we will, oh my goodness, we will grab that. What we can do is just pull it in here. We need to ignore that. The rest of it, not so important. I'm going to copy it though, just so I can show you guys. And let's just show you guys what the output is, and then we'll see the same in Python as well, or in Dynamo. So let's pip install that. What's this? Now that's going to install it to our base folders. Now later in this example, I'm going to set up a folder. We're going to pretend that's our server folder that everybody has access to. I'm going to set that up on my desktop, and then we're going to copy those files we just installed onto that folder. And then now that wouldn't be your typical workflow. You may want to set up an environment that you install stuff to, manage it that way. That's what I do with the Dynamo 2022 folder. I have that environment that I manage and set up, and I use those files from the for Python, but this is just a visual example of just how to do that manually. So we've installed everything. Now we can come in here, paste that stuff in. All right, that looks good. We can grab that, make sure that looks good. It does. There's our room names. If we come back here, let's grab all of this. And let's actually do it from the top. All right. This last one, we're going to ignore that, but that's the values. And what I wanted to highlight in this is that this thing gets pretty darn, if a word is pretty close, it may pick up the wrong one. That's where in the fuzzy logic, I don't know what it uses, but it's not as good as some of the stuff I could get out of Python. So I'm sure I'm not too familiar with the package fuzzy logic for Dynamo, but I just found I know Python better, and I know how to use the libraries in there, so I use this. But that was one of the things we ran into with the fuzzy logic. But anyways, here is, you can see a score of 56. So I get the max, and I say, hey, that's the folder, or the group that I want to pull out. So you can see this was pretty close to this one, which is the one that we actually pulled out. 57 was the score given to Elec. But if we look at 56, that is right here, elevator. So pretty darn close. Anyways, just wanted to highlight that. That's kind of what it's doing. It's just figuring out some distances. Returns that number. I get the max of those groups, and that's what I return as the max, or I return the max value. Whatever group has the max, I return that group. So we copied that. I'm going to jump back into Jupyter, paste that in. Looks like we got some spacing issues. Okay. Okay, I know something in here is messed up, so... Okay, 4-room, yep. So let's fix this. Okay. So there's that, we know it works. Now, what we're going to do is take all that and replicate it to Dynamo. So we want to get the same output. So to do that, we'll have to use these libraries. Now, those libraries don't exist with default Python and Dynamo. So that's where we set up our own library, and then we get the added benefit of having our own library and being able to share that with a whole bunch of people and allowing them to use our own custom Python developed modules and also third-party stuff as well. So back here, we would have to add the system. But first, I'm going to, so we've got it installed to our base. We did that with Jupyter Notebook. We pipt installed it. So I'm just going to copy this out of the base folder. So I'm going to go here to Anaconda. Or actually, I've got it right here. So I'm going to scroll down, see if we can find the fuzzy stuff. You do F5 and so okay. Let's just do site packages. That's what it was. Okay. So we need to copy this one, and I'm going to copy this, and then this one right here. All right, so those are the files we need. So what I'm going to do is copy that. I'm going to go to my desktop. You can see all the games I play, so if you play any of these, let me know. And then I've got this one called Python lib stuff. I'm going to paste that in there. So now we've got those files. So essentially what we're saying here, and let me give this a better name so we could say company Python lib, something like that. So that's our company folder. Now what we can do, and I'm going to comment this stuff out in case I have that library already in there. So what we're going to do is we'll copy one of these, paste it down here. Now we're going to replace this path. So we're just going to take this, copy it into here. So that's our path we just set up. I'm going to change the string to just a raw string by putting that R there. All right. Now what we've done is we've added this path. We now are telling Dynamo's Python that hey, this is some libraries that we have that now are available to you to use. And from here, what we can do is just, and I'm going to remove all this. We don't need any of it. And then I'm going to jump back into our Jupyter Notebook. What we're going to do is copy this. We don't need any of this because it's installed. Essentially, when we copied all that stuff over, that's what this is here. So we'll copy our code here that will pull in the right modules, and then we will run it, pull it over to see if anything errored. You see it works. That's great. That's perfect. So we know we're bringing in the stuff. So now it's the rest of the code. So let's see if we can get this to work. We have to create this, which which this could live like in a database or something. Like if this is something you would actually use, and I know a couple firms that have something like this, you may have a database set up with all these different names, and then you may even use like actual ML instead of something like fuzzy logic. But yeah, so anyways, there's that. You can have it living in the Dynamo script here or an Excel document. So run it, we see that works. Now if we go back here again and then copy the actual code, what we want out of this is that out right there. We want this list right here. So I'm gonna enter, paste that in there. We don't need that out because I say out equals right here. That was just for a Jupyter Notebook to print it. We don't need that in Dynamo. So now the hope is that when we run this, or we get the same output as we saw in Jupyter Notebook. So we've got everything set up, everything looks good, we should be using the libraries, everything should be fine. Click run, and boom, it's perfect. So what we could do to make this even better is, obviously we wouldn't want to manually put in all of our rooms. So say we have a list and we've got, I don't know, a lek. That was one of the rooms. Okay. And then we have another room and then I don't know, bath. We'll call this one like, let's do like library. And then just one more. We'll just call it bar. Okay, so these are the rooms that are coming out of our architectural model. Obviously, you wouldn't want this in code block. You would read this from the architectural model. But then what we could do is plug it in here. Now, we don't have the input determined, so we'll say this is rooms equals input 0. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this into a function so that it's much easier to use. So we'll just say our function is, I don't know, room space groups. So, and then what we'll want to pass through that is a room name, and then and that's it. So now we'll just replace this with room name, and then down here, and actually let's get rid of this out and just say return. And then down here we'll go for room name in rooms. And actually I'm going to rename this to room names. So I prefer this, but I'm trying to be as descriptive as possible, but also don't, put too much information in there. But you can read this pretty quickly and know that, okay, that's room names coming in here, and kind of understand what the heck is going on. Down here we go for room name in room names. So again, it's pretty straightforward. So all we've got to do is go here. We're going to have to create our out variable. We'll just create an empty list. Come down here and say out.append. Pass that in there. Okay, that should be it. I haven't tried to do this yet in this example, so let's see if we got it done the first try. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So we've got elec, which is which is appending that first. Down here, okay. That doesn't look right, actually, because why would Office Admin be close to elect? So let's go back up here, Office Admin. So we've got space group, room name equals group values. Before I get into this too far, so I think this is useful, seeing this in real time, how to fix these, but essentially what I've shown you is what I was trying to show you. So set up the ability to leverage the libraries. So if that's all you care about, feel free to, you can jump out of this video. All this stuff is available, like my library. All those things are on my GitHub, so feel free to check that out. I will also save this script so that you can have it as well. That will also be on my GitHub. You'll find the link below. So feel free to check that out. But if you don't want to watch me troubleshoot this, that's fine. Thanks for watching. But so back to this, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. It obviously is looping through the wrong stuff, and because that is okay, so room names, and so we're saying for room name in room names, okay, let's also return, because we should say room names out equals ooh, I think I know what's going on. So okay, so we need to, we'll say room name actually, let's pull that. Okay, there it is. So the issue, I think, was when it was looping, it was saying if the max value, because the max value is 0, if it's greater than that, then set it and then return the value. Well, I don't want to return that value. I want to return the max of all groups. And so I'm going to loop through them all. It's going to check them. It's going to set the max. It's going to return the index. And then finally, so I'm just updating. It was before I was updating the out. It was just going to continue looping it, but I was looping through it and returning the group. So here is now I'm gonna loop through it, figure out what the max, and then return that group. So we can see that's right for Bath. That is right. So that's cool. Library, and that's perfect, and then bar. So cool. All right, so that's well, that was pretty easy though for this. I mean, I spelled them exactly how they're spelled in there, so that's pretty easy. And that's what I mean. Like, you'd have this in a database or maybe an Excel document or in Dynamo, and you would just continue adding the names that you knew architects were giving their spaces or their rooms, and just continue adding onto that list so that this thing could be better and better. The whole goal is that it's just applying the right functions to the spaces so that you don't have to manually do that yourself. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for the folks that stuck around for me to troubleshoot that. I think that was fun, and I hope that you learned something out of that. It is, I think it's useful to see that. I think it's useful to run into that yourself while you're trying to learn. So get out there and jump into the script, mess around with it, change some things, and then let me know if you have any questions. All the stuff like links and things and the content distribution will be below, so feel free to download those, or sorry, check those links out. The file that you see here will be hosted on my GitHub, so it'll be for the BIM coordinator resources. I'll have a link below as well so that you can easily click on. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.